ओमज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone. In today's class, we will have a discussion about this Ritvik philosophy in the context of the Bangalore temple case, which was won in the Supreme Court by the ISKCON Bangalore. So, firstly, before we start itself, I wish to make it very clear in upfront that this posthumous Ritvik thought, that is people can give initiation on behalf of Srila Prabhupada after he has departed from this world. This has absolutely no backing from Shastra, and it is a completely erroneous concept. It's a completely wrong idea, which needs to be junked. But it is there to stay because one group today has a lot of power. See, basically what happens is ultimately everything, something gets value or something becomes popular in the world when someone who talks about it has a lot of power and influence. And just like a lot of Abrahamic philosophy, if you see carefully, there are so many loopholes and it's full of faults. But it is popular because there are people with money, there are big numbers who are talking about that wrong philosophy also. So that's why it is popular. So similarly, today we are having to deal with the Ritvik system or this particular idea only because there is a big group of people who have a lot of wealth and power and so many temples, and they are conducting initiations in this particular fashion, and they are becoming more and more famous and strong as well. So that's why we are having to contend with it, right? Because if anyone who did not have power was talking about it, then it wouldn't have been a problem. So the court case was obviously not about Ritvik system. The court case was specifically about ownership of land, which they managed to convince the Supreme Court. So they won the case in the Supreme Court, right? So that also has a long story, but I will touch that very briefly. But mainly we will comment on this posthumous Ritvik idea. Posthumous means after Prabhupada has passed away, he continues to initiate people in this world. Okay, this is posthumous Ritvik. So Ritvik as such is a very Vedic concept. What is Ritvik? Ritvik is nothing but an officiating priest. Someone who does something on someone else's behalf is called as a Ritvik. Right? So this concept is perfect as the concept of Ritvik. It basically means that you are officiating on behalf of someone. But the person whom you are doing on behalf on, he should be present in the planet, or he should be there around. So when Prabhupada was personally there, he gave initiation to so many others through his disciples. Right? That means his disciples would conduct the ceremony and give beads, give name, everything. There are many disciples of Prabhupada who got initiation from Prabhupada without meeting Prabhupada only, even once. Because they got it from someone else who chanted on the beads, gave the name, everything they did. So basically, Chaitanya Maharaj and others write that throughout the period from 1965 to 77, initially Prabhupada would do everything in initiation. What are the things to be done in initiation? Giving the name, chanting on the mala, conducting the fire sacrifice, and giving the mala. 4 things are there. Correct? Now, if you see carefully, over the period of time, Prabhupada started delegating one by one. That means later what he would do is people would send him letters of who are the prospective disciples, and Prabhupada would give the name and post it to some leader, and then that leader would conduct the ceremony and give the name and beads. So in this, what has happened is the name giving is still done by Prabhupada, giving spiritual name, but the giving of the beads, etc., is done by someone else only, right? The yajna is done by someone else. But slowly Prabhupada started delegating even that, where he started giving power to the Ritvik, the officiating priest, that you can give the name also, you can chant on the beads, do the yajna, and there are many other stories. There is one Prabhupada's disciple story I read in Hyderabad, where he says when Prabhupada was giving initiation in Hyderabad, what he was doing is, Prabhupada made a senior devotee chant on the beads. So Prabhupada was there physically, but he had not chanted on enough number of beads. Let's say some 20 people are sitting for initiation. He had not chanted on all the beads, only 4 or 5 he had done. So another 4 or 5 he did, and another 10 he made a senior disciple who was Prabhupada's disciple, who was present in the temple to chant on the beads. And then he gave initiation to all of them. So some beads were Prabhupada chanted, some beads were chanted by that senior disciple, and so on. So like this, different tasks over the period of time from 1965 to 77, Prabhupada kept delegating. But the most important thing is he was present on the planet, right? He was physically there. So these people were officiating on his behalf, officiating priest. That's what it is called, Ritvik. And which was fine, which is accepted. This is a Vedic concept which is accepted. In a yajna, there is this concept of Ritvik, where there is the Ritvija, they call that, where he's an officiating priest on behalf of the Yajaman or someone like that. So this is okay. This is all okay. So this was going on. Okay, so when we are now talking about Ritvik philosophy, we are talking about posthumous. That means Prabhupada is already departed in 1977. Still, you can continue to do that on his behalf. And there is a big problem, because now when you say you're doing on his behalf, he is not there here. He has already left. Okay. So the first question is, how did this come about and when did this come about? See, because ultimately it has come about within our movement only. Okay, so this kind of thought process is not there in any other bona fide sampradaya, right? If you see the Sri Vaishnavas, the Madhvas, or even the Shankaras or anyone else, nobody is doing anything like this. Correct? No one is saying that now I will initiate on behalf of Vedanta Desika or Madhvacharya or Shankaracharya. You can become Shankara's disciple directly. No one is doing, and they are all giving initiation, by the way, right? Even the Shankaracharyas give, the Madhvas give, Sri Vaishnavas give, all the other people in town, whether it's Advaita Sampradaya, Dvaita Sampradaya, all of them are giving initiation, and nobody is doing this posthumous Ritvik stuff. Okay. So who is doing, if you ask the question? Well, the Sikhs are doing, right? The Sikh religion. In their religion, it is all Ritvik only, because their gurus, they had only the 10 gurus, right? And the 10th guru is the Guru Granth Sahib. That means they made the book only the guru. And finally, they said that Guru Gobind Singh, he said that now this will only guide people. And they basically froze the sampradaya at that point, correct? They have 9 living gurus, gurus who lived, and the 10th is the book, Guru Granth Sahib. So that is, so then onwards, they have no concept of guru. So basically, they abolished the concept of guru. And we all know what is happening to them, right? Because there are so many simple things also, because it's there in the book. Like, for example, if you see in the Sikh Guru Granth Sahib, Ram, Krishna, Hari, these are there several times mentioned. But still, none of them are able to, they feel that they're different from Sanatan Dharma and all that, correct? Which is, of course, not everybody is feeling. There are many very intelligent people who understand, even among the Sikhs, that this is part of Sanatan only. But there are unfortunately some people who feel we have nothing to do with this, despite Krishna, Rama, Hari being mentioned. So can you imagine what can be more strange than that? Right? So that is an example of Ritvik system. So where there is no guru, the book only is the guru now. And like this in the Abrahamics also, you can say it is there. So by and large, like prophet they say, or whatever, right? The messenger of God. Yeah, they don't call that guru per se, but messenger of God they say. And these people have their own concept. Who is the last messenger of God? After that, there is no more messenger. Okay. and everybody else who is there, he's only like a teacher or he's a manager or whatever, right? But he is not. So anyway, so that's a different thing in Abrahamic system. But my point is, none of the traditional sampradayas, which is Advaita, Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita, or whatever, right? Any of these, even the Nathadwara, they also have initiation there, right? They also don't have anything like this posthumous Ritvik. You can become a disciple of Vallabhacharya or something. No, it's not there. And they are all having living traditions. So this being the case, the first question to ask is, how did it come up? Okay, so because if anything happens also, if anything is born in your family, ultimately this posthumous Ritvik philosophy was born in our family. Our family means the family of ISKCON devotees only took birth. So if it took birth, why did it take birth? See, because if anything has to happen, there is always some background. Even if Hiranyakashipu is born in the house of Kashyapa and Diti, there is some background. Correct? They had union at the wrong time, at sunset they had. That is why Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were born. Correct? It never happens that some evil thing, whether it's an idea or a human being, takes birth without a cause. So there is some cause because of which something happens, right? Because in an organization also, for an idea to be born, there is some background as to why this happened at all in the first place. How come such an idea came in their mind, correct, when no other sampradaya is talking about it? It's something worth thinking, really. So let's try to think about it. So first of all, the Bangalore temple authorities who were there, Madhu Pandit Prabhu and company, they were not the originators of Ritvik philosophy. Let's be very clear. They were not. They are the successful brand ambassadors of Ritvik philosophy, you can say, posthumous Ritvik philosophy. Correct? Because Madhu Pandit Prabhu and his entire group, they adopted the Ritvik philosophy in 1999. Okay, this happened after Harikesh Maharaj left ISKCON, which was a very big event, shock waves across ISKCON at that time. I'll tell you about that background also. 1999, this was a very terrible year when that particular thing happened. Okay, so that is the time but actually he was not the originator of this posthumous Ritvik philosophy. This came much earlier in the 1980s itself. Okay, so why did it come? Okay, as I said, any idea that comes, there is a reason for it to come. And I think instead of simply bashing something, of course, certainly we will bash because we don't accept the Ritvik, posthumous Ritvik philosophy. We cannot accept it because this is not practice. Guru Sadhu Shastra, we need pramana, correct? Prabhupada's pramana is also not there. I'll talk about that. So Guru is not talking about it. Sadhus, all other bona fide sampradayas are not talking about it. Shastra doesn't talk about it. There is nothing in Shastra where you can see an example where there is an initiation by a guru who has already passed away. Someone else is doing, and he's saying that I am the disciple of some, some great sage who is no longer there in the world. I am disciple of Vishwamitra, Vashishta. Like that, nobody claims anywhere in our scriptures, Puranas, etc. So Guru Shastra Sadhu Pramana is not there. Okay, so we will come to that. So then how did this come? So for that, you have to little bit. So first of all, as I said, this came in the mid 80s. Mid 80s itself, this particular thought process started coming. Then as I said, why did it come? Why did it come? It came because in November 77, after Srila Prabhupada passed away, okay, initially what the GBC did was, there were 11 gurus whom they appointed in ISKCON. Okay, so this is also connected to the Ritvik system. So I'll just mention what this is. So in May 1977, May 28th, 1977, there was a discussion of Satsarup Maharaj, of Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Bhakti Charu Maharaj, many senior disciples of Prabhupada, with Prabhupada in Vrindavan, where they were asking about how initiations will happen in future. Okay, because Prabhupada was sick. See, when we say the word future, the future has many contexts, right? So one is future means it is like you are discussing with your wife at home. Henceforth, how will cooking happen? So henceforth means doesn't mean that till eternity how cooking is going to happen. It means in a particular system. Let's say somebody is sick at home and you are having a discussion with your wife. Abhi bimar ho gaye. How can cooking be done henceforth? So you are talking in the context of that particular situation, correct? The person is sick, so cooking has to be done. How will it be done? So in that context, these people were speaking. So anyway, so there is that conversation is there very much. It's May 28, 1977. So in that conversation, Prabhupada says that henceforth, you can, whoever wants in the nearest temple, they can write. And Prabhupada said, I will talk about 11 people. I will say 11 names. Prabhupada mentioned these 11 names: Kirtanand Swami, Bhavananda Prabhu, and many others are there. Rameshwar. Currently, in that, those who are active in ISKCON are only Jayapataka Maharaj, Hridayananda Maharaj, and Satsarup Maharaj. Again, Hridayananda Maharaj and Satsarup Maharaj are also kind of retired. Jayapataka Maharaj is the only one among the 11 who is still active, so to speak, right? Other 10, some of them have passed away also, and some of them are, and most of them are not in ISKCON anymore. So Prabhupada mentioned 11 names and said that you can directly, everybody can write to them and the temple presidents, and they can give initiation on my behalf. Okay, and in this way it will continue. And they ask also what will happen. So Prabhupada says also in that conversation very clearly, because as long as the Guru is alive, you cannot take disciples directly. So whoever they take, they will be my disciple. Like that, the conversation is. But this is very clearly in the immediate context of Prabhupada's sickness and so on. And on July 11th, what happens is Tamal Krishna Maharaj writes this letter. Okay, so this letter which the Ritvik's claim is, the letter is written by Tamal Krishna Maharaj, where he writes a letter saying that henceforth, these 11 people will initiate, and whoever they initiate will be obviously disciples of His Divine Grace. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj signs, and Prabhupada also signs on that. And this letter is sent to everyone. And for the next 6 months, initiation happened like that. This is from May, June 1977 till November 1997. Prabhupada, as we know, passes away in 1977. After Prabhupada passes away, what happens is the GBC, what they do at that time is they divide the world into 11 zones. And each of these 11 people who were there in that letter, they make them as the zonal acharya. Zonal acharya concept means that anyone who wants initiation must go only to them, not to anyone else. So that means if somebody is a zonal acharya for Pune, let's say, this so-and-so guru, then anybody in Pune must take initiation only from him. He cannot take from anybody else because he is the acharya of the zone. So like that, they made a system. None of these systems were spoken about by Prabhupada. Prabhupada actually only told these 11 as Ritvik gurus till Prabhupada was there on the planet. See, now if you see very carefully, we have to also understand one thing, that in 1977 when Prabhupada passed away, the most senior devotee in ISKCON at that time was 10-year-old. Okay. Average, even these 11 people, many of them were just 5-6-year-old in Krishna consciousness. They may have taken sannyas and all that, but see, nowadays, we all understand, right? Since the movement is more is present for so many decades, we all understand that someone with a completely Western background, just 5-6 years of practice, no matter at what level, right? So it's very difficult for such a person to comprehend even the position of a guru. It's very logical if you think about it. Okay, but after Prabhupada left, what happened is that these 11 became like zonal acharyas, and that system continued for a very long time. For almost 10 years, it continued. And in that, what happened was they made all of them zonal acharyas and they started initiating. And not only they started initiating, the kind of worship that all these acharyas were getting. See, because they had no experience of even these gurus in ISKCON, they did not understand anyone, no other guru they knew other than Prabhupada. They had only experience of Prabhupada as guru. And Prabhupada as a guru was a completely, with his maturity and, background was no comparison. So they just started imitating everything Prabhupada did. Like when Prabhupada was there on the planet, every day there was Guru Puja to Prabhupada, correct? What we do Guru Puja nowadays in temple, this was there personally to Prabhupada, wherever he was there. So these gurus thought that their Guru Puja also must happen every day. So all these gurus, for almost 10-15 years, this was going on. For almost 10 years actually, till 1986. That each of them had an asan, and in that asan nobody would sit next to Prabhupada. And in all temples, their asans were kept, and their puja would happen, and so on. So it was like they just imitated as it is. Whatever Prabhupada, however they did, they all got titles. Like Prabhupada is a title, honorific title. So each of them had a title. Acharya Pad, Guru Pad, Sri Pad, Vishnu Pad. They all got titles. I mean, they were not just called so and so. Like Kirtanand Swami was Bhakti Pad. So each of them had honorific titles. You will not imagine this honorific title in ISKCON. It continued till 1999. It took 22 years for the GBC to abolish that. So basically, honorific titles were there. This kind of pomp, gala, worship was there, and it started like this. But then it had to, it just crumbled. Okay, it crumbled because most of these people who were, sannyasis themselves, as I said, they were just 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and they really had difficulty in continuing like that. Right. So by about 1986, so almost 6, 7 of them were gone out of the original 11. And of course, the GBC started adding new gurus also, but in that also many kept leaving. Recently this Yadunandan Maharaj in Belgium, he wrote a book about sannyas in ISKCON. So he gives some statistics, which is quite alarming or whatever. So he says that Prabhupada initiated he says, I think 54 sannyasis Prabhupada initiated as sannyas. Out of them, 41 or 42, he said, gave up sannyas. Okay, only 12 maintained sannyas, and even in those who maintained sannyas, many of them had several difficulties, but they were allowed to keep their sannyas, because they promised that they will not commit that mistake again, etc. Like that. So the number, the sheer volume of the gurus giving up was very large. Okay, and this was not limited to the original 11. Later also GBC started adding, and many grahasthas who became gurus, many other sannyasis later who started becoming gurus, a large percentage of them kind of couldn't maintain. So that number is not very small. If you see carefully the statistics, that number is very large. This kept happening a lot till 1986. 1986 was the most terrible year for ISKCON because many sannyasis gave up in that same year. Then again, 1998 was also very bad after Harikesh Maharaj left. And then it continued happening actually. Even in recent times, still recent times, there have been odd cases of, even in 2000, 2010, 2020s, So there have been cases of somebody or the other giving up with some amount of frequency. See, one thing about ISKCON was always that they were at least honest in the sense the leadership. If somebody had difficulty and it was reported, they did not try to hide it under the carpet. They said that yes, this person has difficulty, he cannot continue. So they did that. But what happened? This number was large. See, it's about the number, and the kind of worship they were taking also was too much. It was like if you, I mean, in fact, most of you who have experience of recent times ISKCON may have not seen. I came in 1994. I have seen some kind of worship to some extent, even in those years, till 1999, where gurus would come, their Pada Puja would happen in temple hall, and gurus, when they would walk, their disciples would fall down, and the gurus would keep their lotus feet on their head, actually, on the road, etc. So kind of, we have seen that. So, of course, these things don't happen nowadays because after 1999, they became even more strict. 1986, they became much stricter, and 1999, they became more strict. They abolished all honorific titles. Many things were kind of. So on one hand, the gurus, many of them were getting very elaborate worship at the level of like an acharya. And on the other hand, many of them faced a lot of difficulty and couldn't maintain their Krishna consciousness. As this happened, so that is how the Ritvik philosophy kind of started gaining ground, where people started feeling, why have people like this only as gurus? Why not have Prabhupada only as the guru? So it was born out of an immediate concern of what was apparently not going great. But of course, the solution was not the Shastric solution. So that was another deviation. Okay, I think we have to also see this with a little compassion that ISKCON as a movement, we were very young at that time. So we have to, we should not feel angry or feel any kind of, because most of the people who took sannyas also, they were all very young people. See, now we are all here, most of us, average age nowadays practicing in ISKCON is like 10, 20, 30 years. So we can just imagine, can you imagine somebody who's just 3-year-old in Krishna consciousness gets sannyas? Like, so many brahmacharis, right? 2, 3 years in ashram, if they are given sannyas and they are made a guru, it's actually very difficult. See, I think part of this whole thing was, I also feel it was in some way unavoidable. If you think about it very carefully, it was unavoidable because our movement was actually very small at that time, very young. in terms of maturity, but in terms of spread, it was too big. Can you imagine? You have a very big spiritual movement with, because when Prabhupada passed away, he had 108 temples, correct? So by 1986, whatever, 150, 200 temples are there, but spiritual leadership is not matching with that kind of a thing. I'm not saying nobody was. There are many gurus who are good. Even today, they are there. We all know that. But a large number were not like that. At least at that time, till 1986, this was a big problem. Till 1999, also this kept happening. So that's why. So it was unavoidable. I would say, if you go back, that's another reason why, if you see carefully, Prabhupada did not name anybody specifically saying that they will initiate after he passes away. Prabhupada never did that. Prabhupada made these 11 people only as Ritvik till he is alive on planet. After he passes away, what will happen? In some way, if you see carefully, Prabhupada left it to Krishna. Because it is very difficult. How could even Prabhupada at that point of time think that, who of these sannyasis are going to survive? Because Prabhupada knew also that many of his disciples are very young and they will find it difficult. See, when he was personally present, he was like a king, and in his power, things were just going on. But when he passed away, so in retrospect, if you see, you couldn't have done anything else. I mean, of course, but there were some sane voices even those times. Okay, one very famous letter of Pradyumna Prabhu is there. He's a brilliant. He was a Sanskrit editor for Prabhupada's books when Prabhupada was there. He wrote a letter in 1978. 78, he wrote a letter to Satsarup Maharaj, to the GBC. Very long letter. I'll post that on the group. You can see that letter. In that letter, he makes it very clear who is an Acharya. He says an Acharya means either an Acharya is like Prabhupada, that means a movement's Acharya, or somebody is an Acharya only for his disciples. So he says that even though you people have become Guru, you should not take such worship. His point was that you should be much more sober in that. With your god brothers, you should interact normally only, not that you have become Guru means you're in some other world. Unfortunately, what had happened was his letter is beautiful, but in 1978 he was thrown out of ISKCON. He was said that you're envious of us and all that, and GBC threw him out. In 1999, the GBC apologized to Pradyumna Prabhu. Okay, if you see the 1999 GBC minutes of meeting, they have an apology to Pradyumna Prabhu that 21 years back, what you told us was correct, but somehow we couldn't take your advice. Please come back and serve. And they wrote an apology letter 21 years later. But the point is, in that 21 years, that period, the large number of guru fall down, and the worship which was there made people, and that is why this philosophy was born. I'm saying that why it was born. See, we have to, even if the posthumous Ritvik philosophy is bogus, we should know why it took birth, right? Otherwise, as I said, Hiranyakashipu is born in your family means something has gone wrong. Okay, you understand. Okay, the husband and wife Kashyap and Diti, they had union in the evening hours. So that is why Hiranyakashipu was born. Otherwise, Hiranyakashipu would not have been born. So the point is, any wrong concept comes up, wrong child comes in our family or whatever. Like Vena is born in Anga's family. The Bhagavatam says that Vena, because that Anga's wife, she was from some Asuric Kula. Okay, and the Vena went on the maternal grandfather. So anything is born, whether it's a concept, an individual, whatever, there is always some background. Something has gone wrong because of which such an entity took birth within your family. As in Ritvik originally came up in the family of ISKCON only. So this is one major reason. The lack of a large number of gurus falling away, and especially when they were taking too much worship and too much, which honestly, which is not there anywhere else. Even if you see today in traditional sampradayas, like if you go to traditional sampradayas, you can't touch the feet of the acharya. It's not publicly done like that. Publicly doing so too much. This ati worship of the guru, and that also, this ati is always dangerous. I remember this was many years back in 1999 when Harikesh Maharaj passed away. Okay, I'll just make one more point and then come to this. So as I said, this kind of immaturity on a large part of guru population, I mean, as in immaturity, as in not paripakwa in Krishna consciousness, and also the kind of worship they were getting, which was not at all in line with their personal standing, led to many people feel that why should we worship these people? Let us directly worship Prabhupada only as Guru. This was the reason. Okay. So you see, many times the reason may be correct, but your conclusion can be wrong. Correct. Like for example, Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, many reasons he gives are correct why he doesn't want to fight the war, but his conclusion is wrong. I will not fight. Okay. So these Ritviks, their reasons may have been this only. The reasons were all this, but the conclusion is wrong because it's not in line with Guru Sadhu Shastra. Simple. Correct. So this was one big reason why this came up. And when this came up in 1980s. But then see, any idea that comes up now, it becomes strong when someone in power gets that idea. I hope you all understand what I'm saying, right? See, some idea is there. Okay, that idea is like a foolish idea. And let us say that foolish idea is adopted by somebody who's very incompetent or who doesn't have money and resources. That idea will automatically die. Because there is nobody who is, I mean, the fellow who is preaching that idea has no followers, no money, no temple, nothing. Who's going to listen to him? So the Ritvik philosophy was born in the 1980s, but it was subdued, honestly, because there was no big guy adopting that. Harikesh Maharaj, when he left in 1998, it's at that time that the Bangalore, ISKCON Bangalore opened. And Madhu Pandit Prabhu, who was at that time the president of the Bangalore chapter of ISKCON, he took this idea. Okay, he took this idea. He took this idea saying that, this is how it should be. So that's the time he took this idea. And when he took this idea, and see, at the end of the day, you have to admit this point that he is a very talented person as an individual. Okay, let's put all this Ritvik aside. Talented person. Why talented? Come on, he's made 50 temples in India. It's not a small number. Okay, see, that just shows that you have some background talent, right? Some karma because of which you are able to do it. It need not necessarily be like whatever, right? It's not, you need some talent to do some big thing. Okay, I'm not talking about the philosophy of his, I'm talking about the grandeur that he has developed. Whatever, he has the right political connections, this, that. He has managed to create such a huge, ISKCON Bangalore is a very huge entity. Okay. So in 1998, when the Bangalore temple opened, later when Harikesh Maharaj's fall, I was personally there in Kunjbihari those days. I was already initiated in 97. I remember that was a very, very big blow on ISKCON. It was not a small thing. Today, those of you who are here may not even imagine the impact. Harikesh Maharaj had 3,000 disciples in Europe and almost everybody left. There were temples in Sweden and many places which were like top in book distribution, top in everything. Suddenly, overnight, everything collapsed. It was a disaster of unimaginable proportion. And he was a GBC chairman at that time, 1998, when he left. And his leaving again is not singular. Please remember, they were like, almost 40, 50 people had left already. Gurus, I'm not talking one or two. Okay. In the original 11, 7, 6, 7 left. And even the other new gurus that ISKCON kept adding, people were going out also. Going out as in they were not able to maintain. See, that doesn't mean that the guru system is faulty. It just means that at that time, we didn't have a capacity as an organization to have so many potent gurus. I mean, that's the part we have to accept. There's no use of, I mean, these people also, poor thing, they were ordinary people like you and me. Somehow they came earlier in ISKCON. Maybe you and me also would have been there at that time. किसी ने हमको भी बनाया होगा guru at that time, and we may have not able to maintain that status and get that type of worship. See, you need a spiritual potency, right, to handle such a worship. So when that happened, Madhu Pandit at that time, he decided that he will also adopt the Ritvik philosophy. So Ritvik philosophy is already alive, please remember, in 1980s. ये नया नहीं था उस time. But in 1999, after Harikesh Maharaj's event, he took that up. He took that particular philosophy. There were many others. In ISKCON Calcutta, there was one Adridhan Prabhu, and there were many others. Even there are many current sannyasis in ISKCON who are gurus who had also taken Ritvik philosophy at that time. If you see the GBC minutes, you will understand. They had banned them for 1 or 2 years. Later, they apologized. They came back. All that story is also there. Okay, I'll not tell those names because obviously currently they have come out of it. But there were many people at that time who had taken. But the point is, among all of them, Madhu Pandit Prabhu turned out to be the most powerful in terms of influence, in terms of number of temples, in terms of opulence. So that's why it got life, correct? Because so many others were talking about it, but none of them had any power. So if somebody is talking without power, then what is the use of your philosophy? Nobody is going to listen to you. But some powerful man takes up, then it took up. So that's how it happened. So I remember very much in 1998, I think this was the year 1988 or 99, Radhanath Maharaj had taken, many brahmacharis and, that time to Nasik for a yatra. And he addressed this whole issue of Harikesh Maharaj's fall, this Ritvik issue, even that time when it came. So I was unmarried at that time, so I had access to all that. So, Maharaj, he made a very interesting and important point in the context of Madhu Pandit Prabhu's taking this particular Ritvik philosophy at that time, 1998, I'm talking, 98 or 99. It was Nasik Yatra. Those days we had the lectures of Maharaj in cassette. So Maharaj, what he said was, he said, see, again, Maharaj was analyzing why he became like this. See, because it's not just important to say that you're Ritvik is bad. Why did you become Ritvik? So, वो psychology के पीछे भी जाना पड़ेगा ना. You'll have to understand that. So Maharaj was saying that, see, it's like a pendulum. Pendulum which is there now, what is the nature of a pendulum? You take one extreme, then automatically it will go to the other extreme. If you see carefully, this Madhu Pandit Prabhu, even when he was in, because he was introduced in ISKCON in 1984 in Juhu, right? He was an IIT Bombay student, 1984. Okay, so till 1998, he was very much within the Guru structure only. He was such a fanatic Guru worshipper. I mean, some things we cannot imagine these days. Like, I had heard this from Chopati people at that time. He would not allow the cassette, audio cassette of any Guru other than his own spiritual master in Bangalore. No one's audio cassette allowed. Can you imagine this? I mean, very fanatic, one-sided worship of Guru, saying that nothing else, only my Guru is the Guru. So the point is, when someone behaves like this for 10, 14 years, he has to be corrected. If you don't correct someone who's taking a very extreme position, it is a matter of time that he goes to the other extreme position. So from one extreme, he went to other extreme. From the extreme saying that only his guru exists and no one else, no one is to be heard, no one is to be worshipped and not corrected. See, it's like a child at home, he's doing mischief in childhood. You have to correct the child, right? Yeah, he'll grow up and he'll take another extreme and he'll start doing something else. So at that time, see, so what happens is today we are all criticizing him, maybe rightly so, obviously, because it is posthumous Ritvik philosophy doesn't work in our Shastra. But those days when he was that fanatic Guru worshipper, nobody told him that you should not be like this. Come on, be more balanced, right? There are other gurus also. There are other things also. Don't take such extreme positions in life. Nobody told him that. Nobody told him. So suddenly one day when he saw this continuous fall down, which was happening, because he has gone through that, right? He came in 1984, so he must have seen 1986, 1991. So many continuously people were leaving at that time. Gurus. So by 1998, when Harikesh Swami left, for him that was the last straw. He joined the Ritvik camp, which was already in existence. He didn't create it. It was already there. He joined their party, saying that I'm with them. Because this is not working. He felt this is not working. Okay. So these are the causes for why things happen. So we have to understand that cause, because only then we will learn some lessons. Otherwise, we are not going to learn any lesson only. Right. So that is where he took this up. And the property is a completely different thing. Property is a completely different thing. It's simple. I mean, I'll just say that in 2 minutes because that's not our main goal of discussion today. Discussion is the Ritvik philosophy. Property, I'll just tell 2 minutes. See, there is in entire India, there is something called ISKCON Bombay, which is the mother of all Indian ISKCON, which is all a chapter of ISKCON Bombay. Okay, ISKCON Bombay is a registered entity, and all ISKCONs are a chapter of ISKCON Bombay, and everybody submits their audited reports, everything to ISKCON Bombay. Like ISKCON Pune, there is nothing like ISKCON Pune. We are one chapter of ISKCON Bombay only, Juhu. So like this only the setup is legally in India. In every country, they have their different systems, but in India, it is like this. Okay. But what had happened was there was one sannyasi who had opened one ISKCON Bangalore as a separate chapter, somewhere time 1970s or 80s. But that chapter was like it just existed. Okay. So somewhere in 1990s, what happened? Madhu Pandit Prabhu got the papers and access to that. So it's like he became like a trustee of that ISKCON Bangalore, which was a separate entity than ISKCON Bombay. So actually speaking, that ISKCON Bangalore original property in Rajajinagar was purchased under the guidance of ISKCON Bombay only. But those days, apparently, the record keeping was not so strict and it was not digitized. So Madhu Pandit Prabhu managed to manipulate things and ensure that in 1999, because after the temple opened, he managed to ensure that an entire property is now registered in ISKCON Bangalore, which was already a trust existing with the government. That was a proper entity. He managed that. And the High Court understood it. So that is why the High Court, if you know, in 2011, when they passed the verdict, High Court said that Madhu Pandit has done all Gol Gapla, he has done fraud to the documents and he has got it. Like that, the High Court said. But somehow in the Supreme Court, that couldn't be proved because whatever, there could have been lack of evidences, lack of whatever, right? Documentation. So 1999, this was all paper, na? Very easy to manipulate and do things like that. So he got the property. But remember, it's not the property that he got. He has got access to ISKCON as a brand. Okay, because please remember, Madhu Pandit Prabhu has 50 properties. ISKCON Bangalore, Rajajinagar is just one property. Other 51 are all his only, right? As in, he only has set it up with his team. Okay, so he has a very large presence across India, at least for sure. Right, in Pune also, they are coming up with a big temple in Baner, in Mayapur, Vrindavan, everywhere. Big temples, not small, huge projects. So money, influence, and obviously there are so many proper disciples also in their system because they are giving Ritvik initiation to so many people, and okay, that is also happening. But what has happened actually is that the brand ISKCON also they have control now. As in, they are also ISKCON only, right? Tomorrow ISKCON Baner will come up, which will be a Ritvik center. We will say it is Ritvik ISKCON. But for the common man, that is ISKCON only. That is connected to ISKCON Bangalore. Our NVCC is connected to ISKCON Bombay. And ISKCON Bangalore is a valid entity in Indian government, just like ISKCON Bombay. So this is the legal thing. So today, so as I said, what has happened is this Ritvik idea was born out of that circumstantial things that happened in ISKCON, but then it has now the support of someone who's very powerful. And because of that, even though the concept is absolutely rubbish, it has validity in people, or right? So many people are taking initiation because yes, temples, big structures are there, right? And they are also preaching in their own way. So they get people, they all become proper disciple. All that is happening. Okay, now let's go one step back. Okay, I want to tell you that this is not the only reason why Ritvik philosophy came up in ISKCON, right? We started, our whole goal today is to discuss why did this Ritvik, posthumous Ritvik concept come up within ISKCON. That's what we're discussing today. This is only one reason why, this is the reason that I said that the gurus, a large number of gurus who became gurus were on one hand accepting too much worship, on other hand, they did not have the adhikar of spiritual potency at that time. And many of them kept leaving till recent times. Correct? Because of which this particular thing happened. Anyway, okay, so this is one part. I'll take questions later. Huh? I think Chandramohan our Chintamani Prabhu has put some question. I'll take questions later. Let me just complete what I want to say. So the thoughts are put and then we will take questions. So this is one thing, one reason why Ritvik came. There's another reason why Ritvikism came up as well. I think we should understand that. This reason is not spoken about so much, but it is connected to this whole topic. The reason is this too much of understanding that, like if you see this whole thing about Prabhupada books, okay, being edited and so on. So I'll tell you that is connected to Ritvikism. I'll tell you how. We all know that when Prabhupada wrote books, Prabhupada actually did not write with a pen or something. He dictated in dictaphone. And later his disciples would hear, transcribe, and they would publish. Sometimes they would show it to Prabhupada to edit, but later Prabhupada had no time only, correct? Because everything was happening in a hurry. You can imagine 1965 to 1977, Prabhupada was on the move. So there was no time that Prabhupada would record, they would transcribe, it would again come to Prabhupada, Prabhupada would check every word and correct. No, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता था. So Prabhupada would transcribe and they would publish and that's it. The book would come out. Okay, so what happened was, especially with the Bhagavad Gita, there were too many mistakes. Mistakes means technical mistakes. Okay, Jayadev Maharaj has listed almost 40, 50. Right? Simple things. I'll give you a simple example. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I am Aryama among the Pitruloka. Okay, so Pitruloka means we all know. Pitru means what? So Hayagriva Prabhu, who was transcribing those days, Pitruloka, he heard Pitru as tree, paid. So he translated that as planet of trees. I am Aryama in the planet of trees. So Pitruloka, planet of tree, it has no connection. I mean, anyone, you don't need to be a Sanskrit scholar or a great devotee to understand Pitruloka is not planet of tree. Okay, so in the Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita, there were such technical mistakes, and not one or two. I think there were about 30, 40. So in 1985, what the GBC did, they understood this. Because see, till that time things were going on, but they understood mistakes are there. So Jayadvaita Maharaj and others were appointed, and they changed. Many obvious mistakes, they changed. Almost 30, 40 of them. And Jayadvaita Maharaj has put everything on his website. Why he did which mistake, why he corrected, and so on. So this happened, I think, around 1984-85. So this is the second edition of Bhagavad Gita that came up. This became a very big controversy in ISKCON in those days, and even today it exists. Because many people, what they felt is, you are changing Prabhupada's books. Now, what do you mean by changing the book? Changing the book, yes, there were editorial mistakes. Should it continue like that forever? Should we always keep saying that Krishna is Aryama in the planet of trees? I mean, what does it? It makes no sense, right? Anybody knows Pitruloka is not planet of tree, but it means planet of ancestors. So right, so like this, so many obvious mistakes were there, 30, 40, not one or two. So they changed it all. When they changed it, there was again an uproar. Again, this had to do with the psychology of Ritvikism. See, the psychology of Ritvikism is, see, again, this came from a particular spirit, which nowadays also people say, everything is there in Prabhupada's books. They are so perfect. See, it's a spirit. Yes, it is correct in a particular sense. But then these people took it too far. So they started saying in 1987 that, Array, everything is there in Prabhupada's book. Prabhupada's books, Bhagavad Gita had the power to make so many people devotee. Right? So many people became devotee reading the old Bhagavad Gita only, which had apparently all these mistakes. Why should we change it? Let it be like that. That only has the power. Actually, they were not written by Prabhupada. Prabhupada had never written Planet of Tree or all those other things. Prabhupada had dictated. And Prabhupada's dictation, Westerners heard using earphone or whatever. And they transcribed whatever they understood. And things. So, of course, they had some editorial committee even those days, but it was all very young, right? I mean, the devotee who was editing was also 2 year old in Krishna consciousness. So he also had limited understanding of whatever things are, correct? And Prabhupada did not have time to actually read everything. And there are many Prabhupada conversations where they are reading a book and some mistake is there and Prabhupada is saying this has to be corrected. Send it to the BBT. Like that, conversations are there. So we all understand. But this was not happening in a very structured fashion. So what I am saying is, there was this psychology that everything is in the books are perfect, that itself can, that is, see, Prabhupada always, there are such statements of Prabhupada, right? I live in my books. See, now that is a spirit. Now that spirit, if you take it beyond one point, it becomes this Ritvik philosophy. Okay, so all these statements which people make, right? Everything is there in the books, nothing needs to be added. Prabhupada lives in his books, that itself can take you back to Godhead. All these statements, ISKCON has been making very strong statements about Prabhupada's books. And I also understand where such statements come from. It has a particular spirit of, loyalty, of love for Prabhupada's writings. All that is fine, well accepted. But then, see, now try to understand two things. On one hand, so many gurus are falling down, they are unable to maintain. On other hand, the books are there, which Prabhupada himself said he is living in his books. These people started taking an extreme position of that, saying that, oh, so then this is itself, then why do we need these gurus only? Okay, books are only enough. See, basically, this brings us to another point. See, Ritvikism is not just about Diksha. It is in some way about Shiksha also. See, the whole concept of Shiksha Parampara is what? Shiksha Parampara means you make teaching relevant to the audience. Correct? You make teaching relevant to the audience. So, nobody can see. So sometimes we have taken that extreme position. See, the spirit may be good, I say again, but that extreme position comes from thoughts that everything is in the book, nothing needs to be known. If something is not there in the Prabhupada's books, that need not be taught at all to anybody. And these kind of statements, which are all fine in certain context, but when you take it beyond a point, it actually becomes again a Ritvik philosophy only. Because then you stop the whole parampara only there. Literally, can you imagine? These people wanted to stop the Bhagavad Gita at 1977. Whatever Gita was published, that only is Gita. And please remember, it is not only the Ritvik fellows, the current Ritvik fellows who say that. There are many others in ISKCON also who are so-called, proper devotees only, not belonging to Madhu Pandit Prabhu's group, but even they feel that that original book only should be kept, indicating that Ritvikism is very broad. It's a psychology where you don't want to, you're so adamant and rigid about things, even if it is a well accepted mistake, you don't want to rectify it. You are saying that let us live with these mistakes for the next 10,000 years or whatever. Okay, so this is also a reason why this philosophy came. So when we speak such statements, now everything is in the box, this Prabhupada is living in it, it is all correct, but in some context only. If you take that context away, then you will end up with Ritvikism only. So you have to be very careful with such statements also. So these statements also, in some way, they continue in ISKCON today, and it has its own danger, as in where people say that, like I gave examples, right, the other day. Like if you see the Bhagavad Gita itself, Prabhupada himself said in 1977, there is a recording of Prabhupada conversation where Prabhupada is asked, after Bhagavatam, what book do you want to translate? Prabhupada said, I will do Bhagavad Gita again. So someone asked, why again? You have already published one Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada said, I can write Bhagavad Gita in a completely different fashion. I wrote Bhagavad Gita. That's a conversation which is recorded with Harishwari Prabhu, right? Prabhupada is saying, I'll write the whole Gita again from a different perspective. Why not? We can write it. So the point is, Shiksha is very dynamic. You can always bring, so why I'm saying this is, I mean, I have this experience. When we talk, like, see, again, in ISKCON, if you see Prabhupada's teachings by and large, it came in a particular context also, right? The context was the monastic society of ISKCON, where everybody was a full-timer staying in temple only and so on. Okay, today, if you see people, most people have careers and so on. So that's why you see so many contemporary preachers who are there, right? Who try to make Gita relevant to people by talking in some particular fashion. Some people of the old school, they feel, no, he's not talking from Prabhupada's book, so this is not correct. See, this is also that Ritvik idea only. Ritvik idea as in you freeze the teachings, you freeze everything at one point. उसके बाद का तुमको कुछ लेना ही नहीं है. 1977, if Prabhupada departed, whatever are in his books, correct or wrong, okay, even if mistake is there, that's it. That is knowledge. If any other knowledge is there elsewhere, which Prabhupada may have not had time to write also, no, we will not write. No, it will not be considered. And many temples also follow that philosophy, right? Like for example, a morning Bhagavatam class, many temples, they have the rule of reading only till 10th canto, 13th chapter, because Prabhupada translated only till that. Later Bhagavatam is there, but they will say, no, we will not read that for Bhagavatam class. We will go back to first canto because we have to read only Prabhupada's words. So my point is that we have, this is also coming from a similar psychology where you have frozen Shiksha Parampara also. Even if that Shiksha Parampara has some mistake, something, let it be like that only forever. Even if today we have to say something very relevant, like I always give the example, Bhagavad Gita talks about Swadharma. Bhagavad Gita talks about concepts which Prabhupada did not elaborate. Fine. But then to say that you cannot even speak about it or you cannot teach because Prabhupada didn't speak is again blocking the parampara, right? You're not wanting to make teaching relevant only to anybody. Udhar hi freeze karo. And remember, all the Ritviks who are there today, they all publish Prabhupada books pre-1977 only. They say that after 1977, whatever came, we will not take that. So if you go to ISKCON Bangalore and try to buy Bhagavad Gita, you will get that first edition Bhagavad Gita. Even in our temple, they sell nowadays because these people fought, and there were many people on this side also, non-Ritvik side, who supported the idea that let the books before 1977 only be sold. And they said, okay, we will sell it. Because the Ritviks, those times they had this also, that GBC is changing Prabhupada's books. That became like a very emotional statement, which had no basis actually. They were changing means they were rectifying some grammatical and some very obvious errors. But they said, no, nothing has to be changed. That is it. So see, this is also a reason. So my point is, why did the Ritvik philosophy take birth? Because such ideas were promoted among us, that these books are only final, in this only everything is there. Prabhupada is living. We may have had some context to say that, but these people took that beyond one context. Okay, so this is the second reason. The second reason why Ritvikism was born. Okay, so I'm only analyzing why it was born. Now, why? Okay, so even a wrong, as I said in my beginning only, even if some wrong concept has to be born, some reason has to be there, na? Like that only it doesn't come. There has to be some background why it comes up. So if you have a very extremistic thought on something, right, that can manifest in all this. So I would say this was a very extreme position to take about the books and all that, right? So it's not that, I mean, we also all read proper books daily, but to take such an extreme position on it, right? So then you will get all these ideas. Then people will say, if everything is in the book, why do we need this human being? And that human being is also falling down. Half the people or 75% of the leaders are falling. Correct? Those times at least. 75% of leaders are falling and everything is in the book. Book can take you to Godhead. You are only saying that in the class. Book is enough to take you back to Godhead. Then why do we need this faulty human being who's falling down every second year? You get it. See, the conclusion is wrong. But I'm just saying the thought process. Why did they reach that conclusion? They reached the conclusion because we were promoting that idea. Right? So we have to understand. This is the second reason. So first was the second was this. Third was, which I again feel is very important, is ISKCON as an organization, if you see carefully, our interaction with other sampradayas has been very less. Very, very less. See, this also plays a role. See, by and large, we have thought ourselves to be very smart and, above everybody, speaking the topmost philosophy. I'll tell you how this affects. So if you see, for example, again, going back, when Prabhupada left in 1977, many of Prabhupada's senior disciples went to Sridhar Maharaj, because Sridhar Maharaj was Prabhupada's godbrother and very senior person. Right? Sridhar Maharaj was there on the planet, I think, till 1985. He is considered among Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disciples, one of the very, very senior and a luminary, Sridhar Maharaj. Prabhupada also accepted him like that when Prabhupada was. They had a very close relationship. So some devotees went to Sridhar Maharaj that time to take advice, etc. And he gave very good advice, honestly. But even that was rejected by majority of the GPC. They said that, and there were many GPC members at that time who spoke very offensively, honestly, against Sridhar Maharaj. Very, very offensively. Some for a 30-year-old man, you may be wearing sannyas dress, but you're 30-year-old. Sridhar Maharaj is 80, 85-year-old, who is practicing Gaudiya Vaishnavism since 1920. You can't simply blast people like that. Okay. So what I'm saying is ISKCON, if you see the history, by and large, even to take from Gaudiya Math, we were very reluctant. See, Gaudiya Math doesn't have this posthumous Ritvik philosophy, right? Nobody there is initiating on behalf of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. There is no person in Gaudiya Math saying that I am now disciple of Saraswati Thakur. Okay. And Saraswati Thakur's disciples were very much there on the planet when Prabhupada left. Many senior people were there. Puri Maharaj. We have all seen Puri Maharaj in our yatras also till year 2000. When Radhanath Maharaj would take us, Puri Maharaj would come. So many senior disciples were there. Sridhar Maharaj was there till 1985. But even those who went to them to take advice, most of them had a lot of criticism inside and all that. So somehow the Western thought process, which was there, which was obviously prevailing the ISKCON GBC at that time, was not to take advice from anybody else. See, that also boomeranged. That also is a cause of such Ritvik wrong philosophies coming up. Because if you are in touch with genuine paramparas, you will not come up with such foolish and strange ideas. You means people of your organization. See, ultimately, that's what I'm saying. We have to take ownership now of these people. If they came up with Ritvik philosophy sitting in our organization, we are also caused to that. As it, we have created an environment where such ideas were born in their mind. Otherwise, why will it take birth? My original point is that only. Okay, so if you see carefully now in other sampradayas, if you see in South also, the Advaita Sampradaya, Madhva Sampradaya, even though philosophically they are opposite each other, they very often have what is called as Vidvat Sabha. Vidvat Sabha means learned people of all different sampradayas come together and they discuss, they debate very openly. Even today it happens. right? They're all different, right? I mean, somebody is Advaita, somebody is Vishishta Advaita, somebody is Dvaita, but they come together and discuss issues. Okay, and they come together and discuss issues, and they present, each of them present. Even today, they have debate sessions. Even today, they have, where they invite people of cross sampradayas to their temples, and they debate and discuss. This has been lacking somehow within an organization, where we have not even sat and discussed with the Gaudiya Math people, who are, by the way, more close to us. What to speak of learning from these people? Somehow we have thought that our philosophy is topmost. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, it's a unique philosophy, whatever. But that such superiority complex, and that, I would say, that lack of connection with the Veda in general. That because these people are very much grounded in Vedic thought processes. Our ISKCON, we have, certainly it is connected to the Veda only because Bhagavatam is certainly the ripened fruit of the Veda. But if you see, our connection to the Veda Upanishad itself is by and large not so much, right? Because as an organization, we don't go into that so much. We accept that everything is in the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and that's it we need. But these sampradayas, if you see in all traditional sampradayas in India, they are very much touched with the Vedic Upanishadic thought also, which they have not dismissed. Even though they are talking Vaishnava philosophy, they are in touch with that. So I feel that we as an organization have not been in touch with it. So that also is a thing, because if you open your eyes and talk to these people, anybody will tell you, any learned person from any of these bona fide sampradayas will tell you that, hey, look, you can't come up with such posthumous Ritvik philosophy. It's completely bogus. Correct. So these are two, three reasons I was thinking about why, such a thing took birth within our society. Right. I gave broadly three reasons. One is the Guru's broad disqualification, most of them, along with, the amount of worship they were taking till 1999. Till 1999, the amount of worship was too much. It was, oh my God, you will not see that anywhere like this worship. Okay, that first. Second was this over thing that everything is in the book must not be changed, book only will take you back to Godhead, that thing. So this whole, you forgot, Are Baba, Shiksha is to be made relevant. Come on, time, place, circumstance we preach. We just dumped that whole idea only. So, so that so then and then lack of connection with any other sampradaya in general, not even Gaudiyas, others, very less. What to speak of others, thinking that we are too smart and we know everything, and all these others are ritualistic and all that. Because of that, someone among us only, ultimately, remember, Madhu Pandit Prabhu and all these people are our people only, right? Our, as in ISKCON's product only they are. And we have today someone who's very powerful, who is, powerful as in he has a lot of resources. There were so many others who were preaching, but none of them were successful because they didn't have money and resources. Somebody who has money and resources, he becomes successful, as in promoting his thought. Okay, so that is how the Ritvik flow. That is the situation we are in today. And the way it looks like, at least for a reasonable time, this is not going to get resolved, because neither can ISKCON accept. He has given that offer, but ISKCON GPC, obviously, I don't see how they can accept Ritvikism within this, because that will be a complete deviation of odds that we cannot imagine. But at the same time, he will continue to preach like that. But of course, one thing is, he's an individual. So individual has a lifespan which is whatever, by destiny, by prarabdha. But there could be somebody else in future who will take that idea and the resources. It's not the idea. The resource is important. Who gets control of all the 50 Ritvik temples? If such people keep promoting that idea, then that idea will continue to live as long as whatever, right? So that's the future is very, very difficult to predict. But I thought we should know this so that we can set things, see things in a particular perspective. Okay, Hare Krishna. So if anybody has any question, you can raise your hand and we can have a short discussion. Sorry. We spoke for almost an hour. Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhu, you seem to have a question. You can unmute yourself and please ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances to your respect. Prabhuji, it's really very interesting topic and important one also. And these Ritviks, they are claiming that letter, as you mentioned, 9th July 1977, which is, they are saying that it is the last letter of Prabhupada before leaving this world. So they are saying that sentence, the initiating disciples shall be considered as my disciples. not that shall become your disciples for any, that 11 people, whatever you have mentioned. No, just recently, 2 days back, one of my friend has sent this one saying that, "Arey, kya hai ye?" So in ISKCON, you have these two type of things. They are saying that they won, Bangalore won over Mumbai, just like IPL, something like that. So I'm just asking, requesting you to, why these people are highlighting that one, saying that,
Yeah, see, because see what happened, see, they got some food. See, they also were desperately looking for some praman from Prabhupada to say. First of all, see, you should read Tamal Krishna Maharaj's writings on this. Tamal Krishna Maharaj says that full letter was drafted by him. Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he was secretary of Prabhupada. He only drafted that letter. He says, when I wrote the word henceforth, he said that was in a limited context. You understand limited context, na? It is like we may say at home, henceforth the cooking will be done by such and such maid. That doesn't mean till eternity, till the universe collapses, this maid only will cook in my house. It means that in the context of what has happened at home, right? Like somebody's wife may be sick. So a wife may be sick, then she cannot cook. So you may talk to her and decide, chalo by henceforth, let us have such and such maid coming home and cooking, and you decide a policy. So what does that mean? Does it mean till end of civilization, or does it simply mean till the end of your wife's sickness? Correct. And Tawar Krishna Maharaj and Jayadeva Maharaj, they say a very important point. They say, if you take the word henceforth literally, then you should take another thing also literally, that henceforth these 11. See, Prabhupada didn't say that I am going to add anybody on the 11th.
yeah, yeah,
Neither did
yes,
Prabhupada add the 12th man. वो 11 का team ही था ना. So Prabhupada
correct,
didn't say 12th person is so and so. So literally, henceforth these 11, only these 11
11.
should take initiation from Ritvik. So see, you can't take words like that and juggle, right? That's complete stupidity and foolishness on behalf of these Ritvik guys. So that's what I'm saying. See, there is no substance in their thing. But the point is, today they have power. See, please try to understand. It's power that decides everything. See, I may have a totally bogus philosophy. There are so many people with useless philosophies, right? Why are they famous? Because they have money and power. See,
I
because
really agree, Prabhuji. This in Hyderabad also, these people are so powerful. They are becoming so rich. They are constructing one temple.
yeah,
The kind of charity they are getting, whether they tell about the Sakshay Patra or something like that, they'll convince people like anything. People may not be giving to
Madan
Nampalli
Mohan.
temple
Yeah, I know.
1 lakh, but they are giving 1 crore to them.
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
are coming up with a very big temple in Hyderabad. As you correctly mentioned, there will be more problems and issues that may arise in future because of,
Yeah, because in future, what will happen is who will control these temples is unknown.
yeah,
Whoever controls this temple, he will control that philosophy. That Ritvik.
Prabhuji.
See, that Ritvik philosophy, the post-human Ritvik philosophy is in power now because of powerful people with money
Yeah,
who are having
yes.
it. Otherwise, it has no meaning. It's a foolish concept. It's something not even worth looking at. But then they have money. So whoever has money, उसका ही सुना ही जाता है ना दुनिया में.
They have shared so many videos, Prabhuji. They are going viral. After this court case, they have sent so many videos recorded. Thank you, Prabhuji. It's really a good topic for us.
Yeah,
Really.
now, see, that is a big dishonesty. If you see Madhu Pandit Prabhu also, after the court case, he came out and said, now it is proved that Prabhupada is the guru and all. Are Baba, court case was not about Ritvik philosophy only. It was only about property. You
Correct, correct.
understood? But this is a typical political thing. Like politicians are there, na, they win one election, they will say something else only. They will say this means that this particular point is correct. It's a
Yeah.
very, very cunning strategy.
Thank
But
you, Prabhuji.
see,
Correct.
they have money, so that's how it is. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Whoever is next with hand up? Anyone with hand up? Raised hand. Yeah. Rupgor Prabhu, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, then it is more like Catholic and Protestant sort of thing. So these Protestants, they came up because of the corruption or whatever happened in the Catholicism. So then if we look into the solution part of it, then I feel then it is not very important to counteract them, but rather to strengthen ourselves.
Yes.
And also that is the solution. Also, because if they are giving so much money, 1 crore rupees to their temple and not to Namapalli temple, then somewhere we are lacking in it. That's what I feel. We are not able to convince.
I'll tell you 2 points. I'll tell you, Rupgor Prabhu, in this. I have asked some very senior leaders in ISKCON why this happens. So what they say now, Prabhu, when you are alone, na, you can do much more than when you are in a group. See, Madhu Pandit,
Yes.
what happened to him? Na? He is out of any ISKCON regulation. See, in ISKCON, there are all the rules.
Yes.
Like I'll tell you a simple example. Now, Radhesham Prabhu does youth preaching. If he has to do youth preaching in some other center, he has to take permission of that center head. If he has to do book distribution in some center, there are some places, I'll tell you honestly, they may not be doing book distribution, but you can't go into book distribution there because they will complain. हमारा इलाके में
Yes.
आके book distribution ये बंदा कर रहा है. You understood? This is how the managerial structure of ISKCON is. Madhu Pandit has no such thing. He can collect donations from everywhere. He can collect, you know, you understand what I'm saying, right? He's not bound na, by your organizational all these limitations. He's a talented person and he's not bound. Can you imagine? It's a deadly combination. You're a talented guy and you're not bound by any restriction. So you can expand any way you want. Honestly, I'll tell you, had he been in ISKCON only till today, he wouldn't have expanded like this. He couldn't have. Nobody would have allowed him. They would have said that you are in Bangalore, don't come to Hyderabad to collect funds. And GBC would have wrote a letter to him, hey, jaane ka nahi udhar. And he would have also said, okay, I'll not go. But the moment he came out of GBC control by having his own organization, he became, obviously, na? See, that's a law of the world. Come on, we are not talking any spiritual potency, anything here. It's a simple thing. When you are in a group, then, like, sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka vishwas, it goes slowly only, right? You are a single dictator kind of a person, you grow very fast. He has grown now. Whether he will grow long or no, I don't know that. I have no comments on that. But obviously, he has grown fast because he was not stopped by anybody. There was nobody who was pulling him down. I'm giving you a simple example. Rasham Prabhu cannot go and preach in some other city without the temple president's permission. And there are so many people who do not do preaching. They will not allow him also to preach. They will say, "Hey, nahi, idhar aane ka nahi, hamara temple hai." I'm giving you an example. He has no such binding. Na? Anywhere he can go, anything he can do. And because of Akshay Patra and political connections and everything, he's expanded beyond. See, you have to give credit where it is due, as in the sense of opulence and everything, right? There is sheer hard work in that. And lesson for us also is important. See, please try to understand. There's no point in simply criticizing Ritvik philosophy. I would say the three reasons I gave, they should also be our lessons. Lesson number one is our gurus obviously have to be mature and such fall down should not happen. First thing. And also the worship also should be moderate. मतलब आजकल moderate हो गया हो लेकिन 20 साल वैसा नहीं था इसका में. First level. Second lesson is we should also understand shiksha has to be made relevant. You can't freeze shiksha also. See, one is freezing diksha, one is freezing shiksha. Shiksha also you should not freeze like that, saying that whatever is in these books, that only. I know so many. I mean, I know one teacher, ISKCON teacher only, who teaches Bhagavatam commentaries of 11th canto of Sridhara Swami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and all. There are many ISKCON leaders who tell him that hey, you should not teach all that, just teach Prabhupada books. I mean, I'm not taking anybody's name, but I'm telling you for a fact that when someone tries to teach Acharya commentary of our parampara only, our leaders only say that no, just teach Prabhupada books, everything is here, don't confuse people by bringing Acharya commentary. Arey Baba, these are your own Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas. You don't want to even read their commentary or what? Why you are so frozen on something? Is this disloyalty to Prabhupada? If I say that I'm going to study Sridhara Swami's or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. So, some of our people also unfortunately take a very strong stand in terms of shiksha. See, that is also a cause of Ritvik philosophy. You have to address that. And my third point was we have to also network with other bona fide sampradayas, including Gaudiya Math and others, to see what practices they have, to have discussions with them, etc. And not think that we are some very superior breed over everybody. If these three things would have been there, if you think about it carefully, the Ritvik system only would not have been born. Correct? We have to go back to that. And if you don't correct it, something else will happen, right? Because right, it's like, I hope my point is clear. Anyway. Okay. Saragrai bro, you had a question?
Prabhuji, it's not a question, but as an observation that even in Muslims, Prabhuji, I mean, this Shias and Sunnis, right? I mean, Shias, they have this lineage kind of thing. But Sunnis, I'm like, it's frozen at that point also. And both exist now. So I'm like, after.
Yeah, this will exist. See, I don't see Ritvik philosophy going. At least in the immediate future, I don't see it going. We can say they are offender, they will be destroyed. I mean, those are all emotional statements. I mean, factually speaking, I don't see how it is going to go. Because they have power, they have power, money, everything. And somebody will control all those resources later. Whoever controls, they will keep preaching that philosophy. That will keep going. That will have its audience also. There will be many people who will say, let us be proper disciple. What is the problem? So
Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji.
Haribol. Who is that? Gaurav Prabhu or Gaurav Prabhu had a question?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Dandit Prabhuji.
Dandavad Prabhu.
Prabhuji, see, I mean, just some thoughts and my observations. See, one is that wherever there's a challenger, the challenger always gets to gain ground. So, for example, when Islam came to other parts of the world, including India, it was all to be conquered from zero to wherever, right? So, if at all Ritvik has started somewhere, so obviously they have nothing else to lose. They can just go up. But how long can they go up? How much? We don't know, right?
Time will
Abhi
tell.
Madhya
Only
Pandit
time
Prabhu,
will tell. Yeah.
correct. Madhya Pandit Prabhu is there, right? So it is there. After him, will there be able leaders? We don't know. That is one part. Second thing is that somewhere like our ISKCON also, we had our genuine challenges. I mean, people don't talk about Hyderabad temple. They were corruption in Hyderabad temple in ISKCON. And for whatever reasons, I don't know what was the steps taken, but I still see some of the leaders still continuing over there. Now, if such things happen, there is always a little bit of disenchantment amongst the congregation, which can be tapped into. And honestly speaking, even if you keep aside all the spiritual, elevation and all, any organization as it matures, corruption does creeps in some of the other forms.
When there is
Right
money.
now, yeah. When is money involved? Wherever, but it will come up with time. Any political party is formed, is very pure. As time passes by 30, 40, 50, 100 years, things change. Similarly, we had our challenges, ISKCON, and I'm very sure that even Ritvik also had their own challenges over a period of time. When so much of money is flowing in, there will be corruption happening up somewhere,
Yeah.
right? Third thing is when, for the first time in 2001 or 2, sometime when I came across this Ritvik philosophy or Ritvik concept, then I spoke to Radhesham Prabhu and he said, yeah, they are nice people. You can go there, you have prashad if at all, but don't associate much. We have sympathy for them because they feel that they've been wrong. So I also had a little bit of, okay, indifference again towards them. But then I'm now observing that they are getting into a mode of wherein maybe they are discrediting the ISKCON, criticizing the gurus and all. That doesn't bodes very well in terms of their own character, right? So little bit of respect that I had for them is dwindling now because I wouldn't have, I'm not able to appreciate their ways of handling this whole issue. And somewhere, maybe when they started like 30, 25 years back, maybe there was still some sort of genuine sincereness on the part of the people who started it. But maybe over a period of time, it has become, others have also joined them and maybe for whatever motives. And that whole purity may have already got diluted for them also by now, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is just my some thoughts which I was just wanted to
Yeah.
share.
Sure.
And I think we need to just leave them as they are
Yeah.
and
I-
focus on ourselves,
Yeah,
what we
I
can
want
do
to tell
better.
also one more very important thing. Recently what has happened is even ISKCON has taken a stand where the gurus have position they have minimized a lot. Minimized as in the guru in ISKCON nowadays or increasingly in future, even though he will give initiation, he's not going to be seen as a very, like an acharya or a very exalted person in that context as an institution. In fact, there are many regular ISKCON people also who have promoted the idea that Prabhupada only is the deliverer and the living guru who gives you initiation, he's a link just to ensure that you get delivered. But all the responsibility of delivering actually is with Prabhupada. They have done this by and large because of the criticism that most of our gurus don't seem to be pure devotee, quote unquote, which is another big issue for debate. So, my point is, see, from the guru's position of 1978 to today's understanding of guru, which is coming out, where many people are going to be empowered very soon as gurus, etc. I think there is a softer stance also, where at some level it even sounds like a soft Ritvik concept that the guru is just there to help you with some basic thing, but actual delivering is all done by Prabhupada only. So Prabhupada is delivering. So what I'm saying is there are many changes that are happening even conceptually. Let's see how it goes. We'll have to see. But my main point is still three things. Gurus and leaders will have to have spiritual potency and behave properly. And such large numbers cannot fall down. See, please remember the numbers that left are very high. I mean, if you see statistics now, it's like It's much more than 50%. It's not a small number. And it has happened throughout. Okay, it reduced in recent times, but even in recent times, some things have been happening. That's why those people are criticizing. See, if you see now, many of their criticism, when they criticize, we can simply say, oh, they are offending and all that. But they have also caught it. Anybody falls or anything happens, they will make a big article out of it. So they are waiting for that to happen. But it's not that they are lying, in the sense that lying as in they are not just talking somebody has fallen when they have not fallen. That they have not done. I mean, whatever I have observed, I'm just telling you that. So
But
anyway,
Prabhuji, this is also a little bit to be thought about, right? That see, when Prabhupada, for example, if I talk about say Prabhupada's grand disciples, Radhesham Prabhu is there, Gaurang Prabhu is there. So many strong devotees are there, and we all can. When they've been here for last 30, 40 years now. I mean, we don't see any possibility of such great devotees so-called falling down.
one second, Prabhu. See, with ISKCON Chowpatty, we have had a lot of stability we have seen. I'll tell you, this is a personal experience of those of us who are connected to them. But other than that, in broader ISKCON, it has not been like that, Prabhuji. There are many people, even in recent times, I don't want to name because of confidentiality issues, but many senior sannyasis also, even in very recent times, had very severe challenges in their personal life, which has come out. So what
So,
I
Prabhuji,
no, so what I'm saying, na, Prabhu, see, that's why, see, it's a personal experience. See, we all have at least been fortunate, by and large, under Radhanath Swami's leadership and, this ISKCON Chowpatty, which most of us are connected to, we have seen a lot of stability in our leaders. This kind of stability is not seen anywhere else, Prabhu. It's not seen. It's not seen, honestly.
Prabhuji, that's what the point is. So I'm saying that now we are seeing this, but I mean, when Prabhupada was there, and he had given associations to so many of the people directly, it's a little bit, confusing that how come so many of them just leave the organization.
Prabhu, they
Uh,
didn't leave because of philosophical reasons, Prabhuji. They couldn't handle that. See, sannyas is not an all joke. See, a 6-year-old, a 30-year-old person taking sannyas, mazak hai kya? Arey, what is your background, your karma, everything is there, na? See, that's what, na, Prabhu. We also thought very quickly we will make many Paramahamsas. Vaisa nahi hota. It takes a lot of time.
mm,
That's why I'm saying, see, I personally, and I feel very great compassion. I mean, I feel, see, we are also struggling people, na, Prabhu. We know. I'll tell you, I read one letter. I have told also this, a letter of one sannyasi of ISKCON, Prabhu Vishnu Maharaj, when he left in 2012 or something, he left. He was a GBCN guru. He left, he got married to one lady in Thailand. He wrote a letter. It's a very touching letter. You should read that letter. Nityodita Maharaj, when he left in 2001, he wrote a letter. You should read those letters to see what they are feeling about their fall. They are saying that, we couldn't fool ourselves. Prabhu Vishnu Maharaj writes that I left because I know all of you are angry with me because as a GBC sannyasi guru, I got married like this. But to how long I can lie, he says. I was not meant to be a sannyasi. Somehow in the system I became. At the age of 40, I wanted to marry. At the age of 50, I wanted to marry. So he says, at the age of 60, I finally thought, I don't want to die lying to myself. Let me die as a married man. I don't want to die lying to myself that I'm a very great Paramahamsa sannyasi. See, these people are not insincere in the sense. They are actually nice sadhakas. They could have been a proper disciple of somebody, and lived like that. वो system ने उनको बना दिया प्रभु जी. गुरु बना दिया system ने. वो बन जाते हैं ना. See, there is a lot of
yeah.
in those days. Even till recent times, if you see this whole brahmachari making, it's a thing, you just get into that groove. एंड देन आप ब्रह्मचारी बनते हो फिर 20 साल में वो उन दिनों में तो सन्यासी दे देते 35 में उन दिनों मतलब आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग रीसेंट टाइम्स टिल द ईयर 2000 sannyas was given very easily man 35
Yeah. Actually,
getting sannyas
mm.
see what happens na Prabhu then your background is not you're a sincere person I mean we should not feel angry at these people I will never come on they are very sincere people all of them they didn't come to fool like this अरे हो गया यार उनसे नहीं हो पाया उनसे गुरु का पोजीशन करे क्या इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि ऋत्विक सिस्टम बराबर है that's a different thing altogether it is simply I told you it was an unavoidable reality because ISKCON was a very young organization unavoidable कुछ नहीं हो सकता था
Yeah.
back in time also same thing will happen you
No,
cannot
Prabhuji, I think
do it how I mean you can't blame them also bro you can't blame them नहीं
So
हो
actually, what I'm
in
thinking is that this
retrospect
is
what I feel na they should have had these people as grahasthas and as guru कुछ नहीं होता था अच्छा चलता था system this one of the 11 original gurus his name is Jay Tirtha he was a family man he was married to a lady called Manjula proper disciple only I have read all about him he was murdered later in 1987 This person, Jayatirtha Prabhu, no, he was a married man. Very nice person at that. I mean, I've really read about these people's lives. So what happened was, na Prabhu, in 1979, all the other GBCs were sannyasis. They told him, you are guru now, because see, Prabhupada made 11, in that 11, two were grihastha, Jayatirtha and Bhagavan. They both were grihastha. They had nice wife, family, everything was there. They were gurus also. But in 1979, all the other nine were sannyasis. All the other people, 11 में 9 सन्यासी थे, 2 गृहस्थ थे. ये 9 लोगों ने क्या किया, इन दोनों को पकड़ के बोला कि you should also take sannyas. Compulsory. Otherwise, we will not continue your guruship. That Jayatita Prabhu writes, I love my wife so much. How can I give her up? 30-year-old man, come on. What are you talking? वो सिचुएशन ने बना दिया उनको सन्यासी. बन गए सन्यासी, डंडा लेके बैठे बीवी को छोड़ के. अटैचमेंट गया क्या अंदर? नहीं गया ना. As a grihastha, they could have done better. Many of these people. Unnecessary, this whole thing. See, now ISKCON has realized, now they are saying we will make only grihasthas guru. This is the new latest stand by and large. Many people speak about it. Bhakti Brihad Bhagavad Maharaj and all say henceforth only grihastha guru. No sannyasi guru. I mean, that's a rather extreme, honestly, but I'm just saying that. So basically, there were many, reasons why this. And Jayatita ultimately, he took sannyas, he couldn't maintain, he fell in love with someone else. He needed a woman here. Come on, 35-year-old man. I mean, we are all 50-year-old. Can any of us live without a wife like that? I mean, no, right? I mean, you have to understand their situation. They were normal people. They could have lived a proper monogamous relationship with their wife. Are you getting my point?
Yeah, no, actually, there's no question about these people's sincerity. I think it is just that somebody can say that how come when somebody like Prabhupada is empowered people.
No. One second. Here, see, again, here, we are going to an extreme. What do you mean empowerment? Empowerment doesn't change you, man. Empowerment is knowledge. You have to practice and walk the journey. अरे कोई भी आपका गुरु रहेगा, प्रभुपाद रहेंगे, महाभागवत, लेकिन इसका मतलब नहीं है कि उनसे तुम दीक्षा लेके तुम भी बन गए. See, this is a very wrong understanding. I am what I am, right? My guru can be Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati or whoever, लेकिन मैं ही हूं ना, मेरे कर्म के हिसाब से. Just because I got initiation from him doesn't make me automatically a Mahabhagavat. No, this is not some magic. It's not Christianity magic. That touch किया तो शुद्ध भक्त हो गया. कुछ नहीं, मैं जिधर हूँ उधर ही हूँ. मेरे को बहुत टाइम लगने वाला है ऊपर आने के लिए. So we have to accept some reality also, na Prabhu. You cannot take this empowerment concept too much. This is another concept. We have stretched it too much. Empowerment. What do you mean empowerment?
So Prabhuji, actually, just
Empowered
last
with
point from my
knowledge.
side.
You have empowered with knowledge. Prabhupada gave you a lot of knowledge. Prabhupada gave you practices, but you have to implement it in your life, which will take a lot of time. It will take time. It will take years. It may take decades. It may take lifetimes. How do you know? See, so that is not like that. It's not Prabhupada's mistake, obviously. Neither it is these people's mistake. It is just the circumstances mistake. कि ऐसा हो गया.
Yeah.
And Ritvik was born as a result of the chaos. That also we have to accept. There's no use blasting them also. See, they came, I mean, we don't agree with their conclusion. But the way it came about was because of our system only, ना. हमारे इसमें से तो आए, बच्चा इधर से पैदा हुआ ना. आप बोल सकते बच्चा मेरा नहीं है अभी.
Prabhuji, actually, just last one from my side. I think, we can perhaps look at this whole situation as like a night watchman coming up to bat because there are not batters available, right? And now maybe the the second generation, maybe the generation after this will become more and more, you can say, the proper batsmen.
Yeah.
Right, who can go and
but by that time all these chaotic people will also exist around you. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Ruji, that will always, we cannot wish ki, okay, after 30 years they all will disappear. That may not necessarily happen.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Chalo, I think we should end. I don't know whether there's any other question, but I think we should end this late. Vaibhavanand bro, anything short?
Yeah, just I was thinking this project, that how do you consider within ISKCON, all these cases have not been discussed, but something like sannyasi in Mayapur gets discussed so much, who left recently.
Yeah.
And all these case studies could have served as a lot of good wisdom things. All this is hidden and everything else comes up. I mean, all the unnecessary things come up, but whatever could help us does not come up. So how do you see leadership talking about these in case study forms?
No, see, one thing, honestly, I'll tell you, ISKCON has not been hiding anything under the carpet. They have taken action against almost everything. But in some cases, what they have done is, if it was minor or whatever, they have allowed that person to exist, but removed their guruship. There are many sannyasis like that in ISKCON. जो अभी गुरु हो सकते हैं, but sannyas they have allowed them, even though they did one or two mistakes. but everything is documented and proper. See, that way, one thing I'll say, these Westerners, generally they don't have the habit of brushing into the cover. They are too honest sometimes, too brutal,
Yeah.
transparent also. So that is also there. But yeah, it is all part of what we discussed. See, basically, movement is still new only. You see, we have preached so much, we don't have enough leadership for that. That's my humble point also. I mean, जितना हमारा preaching है ना, मतलब 600 temple और इतने सारे follower, उतना spiritual potent leader शायद हमारे पास नहीं, इसलिए तो ये problem आ रहा है, और क्या? Anyway.
और एक छोटा चीज और है प्रभु जी. अब जैसे Prabhupada has written that if the whole world reads Bhagavatam, they will be sheltered under one home. So this is like, both sects have read Bhagavatam quite well, I think.
No.
See, still they are fighting.
See, some statements na Prabhu, these are little, there is a spirit in it. उसको ज़्यादा literally लेके खींचने का नहीं. See, if you do, then you will land in all this trouble. I told the same thing earlier. Prabhupada books, Prabhupada is living in the books. अरे, what do you mean by that? In one context, it is correct. उसका मतलब क्या है? इसका मतलब ये कि मैं उनसे दिशा ले सकता हूँ क्या बुक से? ऐसा नहीं होता ना. So you can't.
And just last thing, Prabhuji.
The point. You can't take that.
Yes, last thing, that how come we have some soft corner. For example, you were writing that these people have a lot of people connected with them. After what has happened in the last 1 week, so there is a lot of hate towards ISKCON and ISKCON devotees in general also. So one does not feel any kind of soft-heartedness towards them, although there are a lot of people who are connected with them, and we were suggesting that they have won it. Krishna would have helped them, or they have won this just because there are so many people connected to them, and so forth. There was little soft-heartedness initially in the 1-2 days. So what do you think about it?
No. See, that I think, see, personally, if you ask me philosophically, they're 100% wrong. I mean, I'll never agree with that. Even if ISKCON GBC, as Raisham was telling us, that they are considering their proposal or whatever, I don't know in what form, but absolutely no way. Philosophically, disagreement. But I would say that, chalo, one thing is that they are also preaching and increasing numbers of people chanting the holy name. See, looking at it in a different way, okay, they are not proper disciple, I will never accept it, but at least they are chanting Harinam, na? Some benefit they will get. So
Correct.
it is there, na? It's not, you cannot say that they have no benefit in what they are doing. Can you say, in all these
No.
Ritvik temples, the fellows who are chanting 16 rounds, भगवान का नाम ही ले रहे हैं ना वो लोग, किसी और को तो नाम नहीं ले रहे, भगवान का नाम ले रहे हैं. कुछ तो भगवत गीता पढ़ रहे हैं, कुछ तो गलत अंडरस्टैंडिंग रहेगा गुरु के बारे में, but you can't completely dismiss that also. And neither can we say that all our people are perfect here. That is also not there. So there are many ifs. Anyway, chalo, I think we have to end.
Yeah, thank you.
Brajendra Kumar, last question.
So not a question, just a comment on Gaurav Prabhu's question on empowerment. If you look in Shastras, then there is Kala Krishnadas and David of the Gorilla, who were also empowered souls, but they fell down, right? So but we should not stretch the
empowerment. Yeah, I answered. Yeah, thank you. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanand Hari Hari Bol.